So speaking, like when you were young, what inspired you to start playing guitar and writing? I mean, when you had come in the Moon, you said you had songs written already, so you must have been.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and it's a rich history. My grandfather played every instrument: horns, strings, piano. He'd be in his living room with assorted instruments, and Charles is my middle name. He goes, Charles, what do you want me to play? And I'd say, play the cello. And he'd pull the cello out and go through this beautiful melody, 16, 32 measures of something. And I just loved it. Play the trumpet, play the piano,
And this is your grandfather.
it's my grandfather, play the violin. And I didn't realize how strong of an effect he had on me until years later when I was in my 20s. And I would be listening to something going, oh, I love that. Why do I love that? I love rock music.
Yeah.
But there it would be, the horns or something, or the strings. But that I found that to be inspirational. But my mother was a classical pianist, and she got really good at it. I fell in love with acoustical piano, and to this day, and I've tried to honor and emulate her influence in some of my writing over the last 40 years. I play around on that thing and try to figure out some piano.
Most of it comes from when I was about, in my, just before about 8, 9, 10 years old. I'd go to my cousin's house and we'd hang out with them. They had a big family. And they were always playing like Hendrix and Steppenwolf and all these bands that I never heard of before, Zeppelin. And I got turned on to that, and then it just kind of took off from there. I got a guitar. I got my first guitar was actually, I think I was about 5. I always loved the guitar, but it was this little plastic toy thing. And my brother, who was the drummer for Moon, he got a drum set. So we both got instruments for Christmas one morning. And his drumming kind of took off. He was 3 years older than me, so it kind of took off, and he was going faster than I was, having to keep up. But I could sing, so we did a lot of school bands. I think the first time I ever performed in front of a crowd was in 4th grade. And it was the end of the school year, and my teacher said, if anybody's got any show and tell things, bring it on in. And I brought in a band, and she freaked out and didn't believe me. Saw a drum set, and we're all setting up the drums and the amps and whatnot. And she went and got the principal, and they ended up switching us and putting us in the gymnasium, and we played for the whole school. This was all in Buffalo Grove, this earlier stuff that I was telling you about, where I grew up. My parents got divorced. I ended up in McHenry. As soon as I moved to McHenry, I met Scott, 7th grade. So Scotty and I have been really close. We've been really tight since then.
I was like a freshman in high school, and I remember I think my cousin had like a bass that was kind of apart with a body and a neck, so I put it together, and then that was my first one that I can remember. And Danny and I would get together and try and play songs. As a matter of fact, Danny and I, we were freshmen. Maybe we were sophomores. We were 15, 16, and we made we had a band, and we had a drummer and another guitar player, and we would get together and try and learn songs.
And then from there, once we got out of high school, my brother, who was already a very accomplished drummer in other bands, he was in California, and he came back, and we all didn't buy a house, we all rented a house together. Yeah. And moved in together, and we started jamming, the 3 of us. And that's when it started getting pretty serious. And we were doing a lot of outdoor backyard parties and stuff like that, which was a riot. And then eventually we added another guitar player, and that's when it turned into Moon. And that was in 1980, February 14th, 1980. That's the first time Brian came over and jammed.
I used to go to the local music store, Players Bench in Crystal Lake. Okay. And I lived there, and I would check the ads to see what was happening with bands. I saw this ad, this band looking for a guitar player, lead guitar. I said, oh, that's me, that'll work. So I called Scott, the bass player, and he said, well, we're kind of done looking. But he talked to me for a few minutes, and he goes, you know what? We're going to bring you out anyway for an audition. Just, why not? Do it, because, you called and whatever. And this was in Wonder Lake, just right over the way. And they already had a crew, including our stage manager, Kent, and a couple other guys. We had a loud sound guy, lighting guy. I mean, we had the whole crew there in place. They helped me carry the gear in. They were down in the basement rehearsing, and they were doing Jailbreak by Thin Lizzy, bum, 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 and they were doing it's really good. So they stopped when I came in. I said, no, keep doing it. And so I'm setting up my gear, and they're doing the song. And by the end of the song, I said, okay, let's do it again. So we did it again. This time I came in, and then I was able to add a little color to it, and then it kind of took off from there. And we all realized that night, this was a good combination. The energy was right. It was a really good light about the band. They were called Cranked at the time, Krankt. And it didn't take us long to figure out that the sum of us was greater than what they were doing. So we ended up changing our name to Moon, and it took off from there.
We didn't make the 45 to sell. We gave them all away. We gave all of them away. There's still people to the day that I could be anywhere and someone's like, oh, wow, weren't you in Moon? Yeah, hey, nice to meet you. I got one of your 45s. It's like, holy shit, dude, that's crazy. It was 42 years ago or 44 years ago, whatever it was. But what I remember about the recording of it is booking studio time down at Pumpkin Studios, which was Gary Luizo who owned it, who did all the Styx albums. And Styx was in the middle of recording. Kilroy was here, and they took a break, I think, to go make a video, if I remember correctly. And they had all their gear in the live room, but they had it all pushed up against the walls and all covered up in tarps and whatnot. And we came in and set up, and in a weekend, 2 days, we recorded and got a rough mix out of the deal. And it was amazing because at that point, I think I was about 20, 21. And to be able to be in that scale of a studio, to me, was just, and I didn't know what we were doing. We were still, babes in the woods, you know what I mean? But it's like, wow, this is just an absolutely amazing feeling. We recorded the 2 tracks. We got a rough mix out of the guy there, and then we took it from there to another studio and did a final mix and master at Hidden West, which I believe was in Schaumburg.
But think about
because we were on a budget. Right. We're like, okay, well, can we get like weekend late nights or during? I can't remember which it was, but there, certain times the studio was more affordable. So we went to this Pumpkin Studios, and Styx was recording an album in there, the Mr. Roboto or Kilroy's, I can't remember the exact name, and they went to shoot a video, so we went in the studio and to record, and we got to hear one of their songs, before it was released, the Mr. Roboto, and we thought we were, this big time now, we're in, hearing stuff before anybody else.
This is a really good story. I mean, I think you guys
yeah, it was still on the tape, the big, what did they have back then?
Reel to reel.
Yes, the 24-track thing. And
I can remember my brother playing drums, and there's the beginning of Let You Go. It's got this double bass little thing that starts the song off. But there was only a single bass drum there. And we went and started the song, and I was so impressed because of the fact that he did the first part like this, and he's just moving his foot, but he's not playing a kick drum. He's doing it on the right. And then he moved over like this, and then he rolled the tape back and did it again with his left foot and made it a double bass.
you guys are doing this show coming up
Yeah.
on July 26th at the Vixen in McHenry, and give me a little bit of premise on the reason that you guys are getting back together 45 years later from the start to reunite and do this show there. And obviously it touches close to home for all of
Yeah.
you guys. So.
Yeah, it does. My brother passed away 2020 of August 29th, 2020. And he died of cancer, colon cancer. So that played heavy on me, of course, and everybody else.
We lost a good friend of ours, our stage manager, Kent Butler, like 6 months ago, and he really did an awesome job. He took such pride in everything, and he made sure everything ran smooth and everything was perfect. I mean, like every cord taped on the carpet, like, because again, we saw Rush bands that were like, oh, we got to set up everything like, you know, the way they do. We'll roll out the carpet, and no cords, everything taped, and he was like that. So he was perfect for us.
And we thought, let's do something for the cause. You know, let's do something to not only help those that are suffering or afflicted with it, but the people around them as well.
Sun was shining.